Welcome to Complete Data's online training session 5. My name is Carissa Cole and I'm going to be taking you through today's session. Session 5 is going to be looking at our service area. This is where we have every house of every street of every suburb captured in one area, alternatively called our community or business development area. In today's session, we're going to look at how we can set up the service area database. We're also going to look at how we can achieve a sign count and internet checks and why they're so important. And also we're going to have a look at how we can print off a past sales report and a current sales report for all the properties that are actively on the market, known as a CMA. We will also have a look at the information captured from today's session and see how we can track our current market share. So how we're actually going in our farm area. We're also going to look at how we can prospect effectively to a street on a street or suburb campaign. Then we'll look at converting a client into a contact once we've built a relationship with people from our service area. So we're going to select on service area and we're going to be brought through to the list view format. So every time you enter a database within Complete Data, we're brought through to this list view detail. So it's got the address, the suburb, the sold price and the sold date. We can see up here that we've got 14,184 properties that we're actively tracking through our database. Alternatively, myself as an individual agent may be running around 2,000 to 2,500 properties that I am servicing in my farm area. So you will need to capture the information of all these properties in your community off a third party. You can purchase lists of a number of companies and you will need to contact Complete Data Support to find out how you can achieve this information. Once you've captured it into an Excel spreadsheet format off the third party, we'll be then able to import your data into the system. Once we've inputted the data, then you'll be able to go through and data cleanse. No matter which service that you get your information from, there will always be a certain amount of cleaning that you will need to achieve on your data. So we're going to go through and have a look at how we can do that for all the active properties that are currently on the market at the moment by doing a drive around our farm area and doing an internet check. So once we've imported our data, it will look like this. We'll select on the Details function, which will take us through to the data entry page. Once we're in the data entry view, we can see that we've got the property details here. This is the property information that will never ever change. This is the one that we're tracking in our farm area essentially. As we know, alternatively, the owners will come and go upon the sale of the property. So in preference to tracking the people, within Complete Data we track the property. After we capture the information, we will then come down and complete a comparative market analysis. This is updated from the information that we will get from realestate.com, alternatively from contacting an agent and capturing this information. In a moment, we're going to see how we can find a record within Complete Data from our internet check, how we can insert a photo, capture a description, identify it as Marketplace Yes, and in our farm area, and also under My ID, so that I can do a number of different functions. Once we've done those finds, we'll be able to come up and complete some charts on our market share. So we're going to move forward to our internet check. I've driven my farm area and I've found a property which is currently just been listed. The property address is 71 Starboard Avenue. Now, in preference to having to type in the whole detail here of the property, as long as I've got the information captured correct from left to right, by typing it in and hitting Perform Find, that will find the correct property. So I can see here I've got the property information, and I will now need to update this section with any new relevant details that have been activated on the website. So by coming down to realestate.com, we'll select on the details and we'll be brought through to this area. We're going to click on the photo here. So we're going to right click, scroll to Save Picture As, and we're going to save this in our service area folder. So we're just going to go back one step to where my pictures are living in my pictures documents here. I've set up a folder called Service Area. So in the Service Area folder, I have every street that is actively in my own service area that I will be capturing information for. So we've got Starboard already in here. So I'm going to select on the photo file, and I've already got the photo saved here. But I'm going to show you how we can rename it by deleting the information in that caption down here and name it 71. And click on Save. So that has now just saved the photo. The next step that we need to know is that we've got 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and a double garage. The property is currently on the market for $549. So we'll need to update that information into complete data. We'll then scroll down a little to where the property description is. We'll highlight by highlighting the information by holding down the left portion of our mouse, right clicking and copying the text. Then I will go back to my complete data and I will update the information. So I've now just minimized realestate.com. I've saved the picture, so I can now go and insert this into complete data by following the path where it's been saved. So insert, go to My Documents, My Pictures, Service Area, scroll down to the property details, double click on the folder and apply the photo that's required. So I can click in the description area and we still have our information on paste. So we can right click in here and paste the text. This means I do not have to type in some information to appear on my CMA. We will then tag it as Marketplace Yes, because this means it's actively on the market. Ensure that it is a double garage, it is brick and tile, it does have 2 bathrooms, it is north facing, and we do have 4 bedrooms. We need to identify it as My Farm Area by selecting on the detail here and making sure that it's identified to My ID. So this is going to become important when we do some finds a little later on. So now that we've captured the property information and inserted a photo in the text, we're going to scroll down and there's a few fields down here that we need to make sure are captured. The first name and the surname of the clients if we've got this detail off another third party. I've already got this detail inserted in here. The time of ownership is being from where I've imported my information from a previous time, where it tells me the sold price and also the sold date. The clients have owned the property for 11 years and 6 months and 3 days. So this is another agent's listing that we're tracking. We're going to scroll down. We're going to input in here the price. So the price which it's currently on the market for. So it started at $559, it's now down to $549 if there was a price movement. We don't have a sold price at the moment. We can capture this information later once a property has sold. The date listed is important that we try and capture the date that the property come to the market as close as we know it to be. Now in New South Wales it is usually 7 days from the last day that I drove my farm area. I drive my farm area on a weekly basis every Wednesday. So I'm now going to select on the 12th because that's 7 days prior. It didn't have a sign last week. It now actively has a sign. The marketing's up on the internet, which usually takes about 7 days. So we've captured this information and we need to apply the agency who has currently got the property on the market. So I've just popped in here Test Real Estate. Now in this drop down list would have all my competitors that I've got an account for within Complete Data. If you don't have anything actively in here and all your competitors, you will just select on this little tab here, the black arrow, and that will take you through to where we can add in all of our competitors. You'll just select on New Agency, complete the data entry, highlight the web address and pop that in here, and then they will actively appear in your drop down list. Pop in the information, they'll be in our drop down list. We won't do the data entry, we'll just go back to service area. Just by putting those brief details in, but we need to make sure we've captured all of the details just for training purposes. Once I come into this area, we can see how it will appear in the drop down list. Once we select on the correct agency, it will populate the rest of the information. Now in here we have got a web URL where we can capture the information and populate for the agency. So that is behind the scenes on the little arrow here. I'm just going to show you how we can capture a URL, an active URL address. By scrolling up, I've got my internet address here. I'm going to highlight and copy this information. I'm going to paste it into the agent's details here, or put it in when I'm setting up the agency information, and hit Go To, and that will take me directly to the website where the property is listed. So this may be McGrath's website. It's realestate.com at the moment for training purposes. So a powerful way to check what's currently on the market and update that information. Once we've captured as many details as we can and write a note, at all times populate a note about the property. Click on the grey screen and that will update the note for us. So we've now successfully captured the property that is actively on the market by tagging Marketplace Yes and applying the details. In a moment we'll go through and we'll do a find and see how we can generate this information on a Marketplace report. Before we do that and forget this property that we've just updated from the net, we're going to come into Trails. Every property that's actively on the market should be on a future point of contact, what we call a trail. This means we're going to set these properties on a 90-day trail which is a great way of setting the information and forgetting it, and applying our own standard to the property. Now, I've just set it on a very basic 90-day trail, which means that the clients who are with other agents are going to receive a service area sample letter, just welcoming them to the marketplace. Once we've welcomed them to the marketplace, we'll also attach a copy of our brochure with all of our active listings in our office so that they can view this information. As we know, it's quite common for people to upgrade or downsize within an immediate area. This is generally the trend for most areas. Then what we're going to do is they're going to send a brochure with all of our new listings on a weekly basis for the next 90 days so that they've got all the current information available. At no time are we calling them and asking for the business and sign jumping these clients. We're just providing valuable data to them because they may purchase one of our properties that we've got within the office. So I've now just set the property, which is on the market with McGrath's, on a campaign. From this point, we now get out into our details area, and we can now go and do a find on Marketplace Yes, Farm Area 1 and my ID, and perform that find. And that tells me that I've got 42 properties which are currently on the market in my farm area. It's only taking me a few moments to capture a record successfully. I can now come down and print off a marketplace report which I can letterbox drop to my clients. By selecting on CMA report, we're going to come in and hit print. And yes, we'd like to view it with photos. And here's our active CMA report. It tells you how many beds, baths and cars the properties have got, and a photo and the description which we've got off the net. So we can take this out with us if we like, or provide it as data to our clients. We're going to say no to printing this off. When we print off any reports from Complete Data, we must ensure that we're on records being browsed. So everything that I just showed you was under Create Marketplace Report in this area. So I found a group found set of 42 properties actively on the market in my farm area. I've printed a report, and now I'd like to know how I'm tracking in my market share. I'm going to select on Chart. I can come down and select on CMA Market Share. And this is all drawn through from the data we've entered into Complete Data. So I can see that McGrath Agents are currently the market leader in my farm area. They've got 9 properties listed for sale, and we can see the next closest competitors being Saratoga, which has got 4, and so forth. So we can see a good breakdown of the percentage and how many properties are actively listed with one particular agent, so we can build our own market share. I'm going to close that window and close, and there's a number of different charts you can do within the system. So please remember that they're all done on a group found set, which means we've done a find on a particular group, being Marketplace Yes, identified them, captured the group, and created a chart. The next thing that we need to do once we've successfully captured the new listings from our internet checks is we now need to go and find the street which has just had a property come to the market, such as Starboard. I want to service the whole street and give myself a 50-50 chance of getting in the doors against McGrath's. So what I'm doing is I'm going to do a find on my street that I've got inputted into Complete Data. So instead of typing in the number, I'm just going to type in the street. So we've got Starboard, and there's 59 properties in that street. So from here I can flick through using my arrow key and see that I haven't had much contact with most of these properties. I haven't got any of their details updated. I can work on a street at a time if you like. Alternatively, we can come up to Trails, and we're going to set the whole street of 59 on a street campaign. This means that I'm going to set up a standard of how I'm going to communicate with this street now that there's a property actively on the market with another agent, so that I can get in the doors. I'm going to select in here for Trails, and I'm going to hit on my street campaign that I've created. It's up to you to get your own standard into the system. If you're not sure on how to create a service area campaign or a trail as such, please refer to session 1 in regards to setting up your letters, templates and trails. We're going to set a street campaign. So I've identified the campaign which I'd like to set to the whole 59 clients. So I've selected that. If I hit set trail, that will only set it for the first record. I would like to set the whole street all at once, save me going through and going next, 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 and completing the action. So we're now going to come up and we're going to use a script. We're going to set a trail to a current found set. By selecting on this information, it says please select the date that we wish to start the trail from. So we hit OK. If it was today that we were activating this, we would select on the 19th. So that I've got some information which will appear, I'm going to backdate it a couple of weeks. We're going to select on found set, not current record, found set. And we're going to say yes, we're okay. It's just telling you that we were going to proceed and that we were setting the trail to all 59 properties. This will only take a couple of minutes for Complete Data to set the trail. Once we have set this trail to the street, we're going to go into our scheduled task and see how we can now effectively prospect in one space and one place for a purpose. This means that no one in this street will be forgotten and that they'll be on a standard which suits my office requirements to help me generate more business. Will only be a few more seconds there while the computer updates all 59 records. While the computer is activating this campaign, maybe put some thoughts into what you would use as your own street campaign. What do you actively do in your business at the moment? A lot of agents put a lot of hard work into letterbox dropping in their farm area on a monthly basis, but they don't do any other activities to get into the doors. They feel that their letterbox drop is always quite sufficient. The best way to confirm your data and capture the information is to door knock, come back and apply the details to Complete Data and set a campaign to the client or a street campaign as we're currently doing at the moment. It's just taking a little longer. I think I've frozen my computer up. It doesn't normally take this long. We'll just minimize it and open it up again. And now we can see that it's activated the trail against all 59 properties. It took a little longer than it normally does, but we can see by flicking through that this has actively been set against all 59 properties. So I've essentially set and forget these clients until the point that they appear in my prospecting activities. So now that I've completed this action, I can now get out of my service area database for the moment. And what I'm going to do is come into Schedule Tasks. Now by selecting on Schedule Tasks, this brings me through into all the activities that need to be completed against a potential purchaser or potential vendor or a current vendor that we've currently got activated in the system. So these are our daily activities. Now we do not want to clog these daily activities up with our prospecting tasks. That is why Complete Data keeps our prospecting activities that we've set in the service area, being our trails, in a separate database. So any trails that are set in the service area are kept totally separate and are available under the My Prospecting tab here. To select on My Prospecting, this is just drawn through all the details of what we're required to do for an action for these properties. Now you can see that I've got 239 tasks here. I can see that a standard is a door knock, so I need to door knock the street first and capture the information. Then a week later I will be sending them out a letter or whatever your current standard is that you're using within your own system at the moment. So to arrow through, we'll see that we've got a lot of door knocking tasks and we're going to find a letter here. So I'll just do a find. So selecting on Find, ID being my ID, and I know that my description is a service area sample letter. I can start to type that detail in, or if I know I've got a few letters, I've highlighted the description and I can paste it in here. Or I can start to type service area sample letter. The activity is going to be a letter and it's going to be done for the due date. Now by coming in and selecting a date range and tabbing across into due date, I'm going to come up to my operators. I'm going to come through and select less than or equal to today's date. Anything that is completed, no, and hit enter or perform the find. So this is dropping down all 59 letters that are currently need to be printed out for the street that we've just applied them to. So this is just one of the tasks that appeared in my prospecting activities. Now instead of me opening up each individual letter and doing one at a time, in Complete Data we can do most things in bulk. So we're going to come across and we're going to come up to scripts. We're going to print same letter for current found set. This lets us know that we're going to be printing the letter and we hit OK. And now Complete Data is just going to open up the letter so that I can print them all out at once. So my Microsoft Documents opening, and we will say yes to the SQL command when it pops up. So at this point then we'll come up to mailings. We'll come across and select on Finish and Merge and Edit Individual Document. We'll hit on OK. And we can see that it's drawn through the client's names as we've got them in the system to all the owners. So we'll use the scroll key in the middle of our mouse to see all the properties and how they've been addressed into the system. So if I have not updated the information, it will draw through in this unfunctional view. So please go through and data enter and clean up your information, and then you'll be able to provide some valuable data to your clients. So we're going to scroll back to the top, If it was all in this correct format here, being the property address and the client's name, or having to homeowner in the top of your document, then that would draw the details through and we could print them off to our letterhead, and we could apply all 59 letters and complete them as easily as I could have completed one. So I'm just going to close down and say no. So that's how we can do all the letters for our service area sample all at once. We can then also come through and we can tag them as completed yes. So if we identify the first one as completed yes with the tick, we can then also come up to records and select on replace field contents, and this will tell us that it's replacing everything that's in the field contents with yes. And as soon as I click on this, you will see on the right hand side here that they will all actively be replaced with yes. Please ensure that you are in the correct field tagged off when you come up to records and replace the field contents. So we'll select on replace. That has now tagged off all of my prospecting activities. I can come out of complete data, and if I go back into scheduled tasks and my prospecting activities, I now only have 180 tasks that need to be completed. So that's how we can do a bulk letter out of complete data after we've captured our details correctly. You can see here that we've got an action for the door knock. I can highlight this information again, copy the details, and I can find on everyone who is identified as a door knock as a task. I can print my list off, and I can take this list out when I'm door knocking with the details of what is going to be happening, the activity of the phone number, so I can confirm the client's details, and I can come back and update the system. Alternatively, there is a number of different views that you can print out from complete data. That's a prospecting print there. Prospecting detail. You can print this off, and that has got the time of ownership and the details of the owner's information and the property address here. So print that out. And we've got a little bit more detailed view here and the last note that we wrote against this record. We'll hit continue and print it out, and we're going to say no. So that's how we can effectively prospect by setting a street on a street campaign and completing the actions. So it is important to update your information no matter whether you door knock or whether you get them from a third party. Please ensure your details are there so that we can do our letters straight away. We're going to go back to service area now. We can also see another way that we can do a letter to a street. We can come into service area. We've still got our 59 records that we did a find on before, being Starboard, but we'll run through that find again. By selecting on details, we'll find the street. Perform the find, and have the 59 properties that we were working with before. I can come into trails once again, and we can see that the letter that we did in my prospecting has been tagged off as being completed. If we use our arrow key, We'll see that is to be true for all the records that we identified, tagged off and printed out. I can also come in and set an activity for a current found set. So if it's a once-off marketing function, I can set this to a street again as well without putting them on a whole action plan. Set an activity. We identify the date that we're going to be completing it on, being today's date. The ID is myself. Completed yes, so that it doesn't appear in our prospecting task because we're doing the activity now. We can identify it as a letter, and it's our service area sample letter that I'll be using. I can set the activity. Once again, it will automatically open up the Microsoft Word document. I will say yes to the SQL command. I will come up to Mailings and back again to Finish and Merge and Edit Individual Document. Select on this detail and hit OK. And we can mail merge from this feature using our scroll key to go through these letters once again. I can hit close and I can say no. So you can see how it's tagged it off as being completed on today's date for the same functionality. There's another area which will make our lives a little easier if we're not using Windows key or Windows envelopes. We can scroll down and we can identify our Avery labels. So we can select on labels for the property. So this will print off the Avery label with the property address and the information that's been captured there. We can hit continue and OK. And as in complete data, we always ensure that we select on records being browsed. If we don't do records being browsed, it will print off the first one, not the remaining activities that are in this log. So select on records being browsed in your print option and hit OK. We're going to cancel. So we selected on Avery label from our scripts drop down list here and we printed property details. We're going to select on owner's label now. As you can see, we don't have all of our data entry completed on our owner's label, so it will come through patchy. So please ensure that you do your data cleansing, capture the information as you know it to be true, so that we can continue forward and complete letters to these owners. So these details that are not coming through correctly have not been captured against the record. So as we can see down here, I don't have the first name and the surname and the Deerfield and the address line populated, and I don't have the owner's address. So that makes it hard for me to send out professional communications if I do not have this client's information. This is where your door knocking and third parties come into play. Alternatively, a correct record which has been filled in is the one here in Narellan. It's in 39 Starboard and it's Narelle Ann and her partner have been addressed in here. Alternatively, we will clean this data by highlighting Philip and putting his first name over here. So we highlight surname, click and hold, and drag and drop. The record has now been cleaned, so we'll take this information out. And address her as Narelle, and we'll fill in the dear fields here. So we'll highlight her first name by clicking into the box, highlight and drag, and this will make your life a little easier when you're doing your data cleansing. Now, on Philip's name here, we can see that my cursor is flashing with a space. Please ensure to try and take that space out so that it does not affect any of your data entry. We can see here also with the surname that it has got a space. So just ensure that you've got correct data entry, as what you put into the system is what you get out. It may take an extra few moments, but you only need to do this once. If you're capturing it from a third party, that the details are a little skew-if. So we're just typing in there the way that we're going to communicate with them and populate. So we've now captured that detail successfully. So all of our professional communications will go out with the correct information and mail merge through successfully. Once we've updated the details, this will enable us to go through and ensure that this person is classed as an owner-occupier. And if we were going to door knock this street, we could do a find on everyone who is tagged as an owner-occupier and hit perform find. So I've just done it for my whole database. So I can see that out of 14,184,000 records, I've got 5,723 records which are identified as owner-occupiers. I have got a high percentage which aren't identified as owner-occupiers because they may not have the owner's details captured in the lower information here. So for instance, if this owner was currently an owner-occupier, which we've got them tagged as here, it means that their address in the property details is matching the address in the property owner's details here. You'll see if I come in and pop in a 1 in this area to make it not match the details up here, because the scenic road is quite a big road. We'll come in here and we've got 755 the scenic road McMaster's Beach. It runs through to 1,755, and as soon as I click on the grey screen, because my cursor is flashing at the moment, you will notice that the owner-occupier type here will change to investor. So that means that these details are not matching. If they are matching and we select on same as above, that identifies the address here to be as the address above, and that means that the clients are living at this property and can be identified as owner-occupier. So this will enable me to do a find once I've got my information captured successfully on my farm area as Carissa Cole, and I may do Starboard and owner-occupier and hit enter. So I've only got one property in that street which is identified as an owner-occupier. That's because my data has not been cleansed. But once it is cleansed, that means I can go and door knock and capture the details successfully. Alternatively, I could go and do a find on everyone who is identified as an investor and target market that group. So we're able to target market due to the owner type being owner-occupier, which will service totally different to the way we'll service anyone who is identified as an investor. So hypothetically, we're going to move the process through. We've now captured the records. The property has been on the market for a little while, and we now have got a sale which has been running on 71 Starboard Avenue. We're going to scroll down and we're now going to update the details. The sold price, it sold for $510. Click on the grey screen and it populates the information here. The sold date, as close as we know it to be, so we might put the 19th. I'll just put the date listed as way back when. It was on the market for 18 days. It sold, and it was Test Real Estate that sold the property. This information in this bottom bracket here will update once we capture the information in here. But as soon as we go through and back up to the top record here, we'll need to update this information as well. So we highlight the detail and take out the sold price. I may copy this information and put it down in my notes. Select on the grey screen and that saved the note. So I've got the date of and the price when it originally sold back in '99. I can come up and I can update the new price that it sold for, being $510. Click on the grey screen and the sold date. So this is going to be my permanent record in this field up here with the property details. As we discussed at the beginning of the session, we track the property, not the people. From this point, now that we've updated the sold price and the sold date, we can now come in and do our past sales report. So we can do a find, maybe on a sold range. Sold price range. So the price might be from 300,000. Our three dots, which gives us a range, through to maybe 600. We can select on the sold date. If we click into this box straight away, you will see that it brings up a calendar for me. This will only allow me to select one date. So I'm going to close out of this box. We're going to come back to where we were in our sold price. We're going to use our tab key on the top left hand corner of our keyboard to get into our sold date range. So we can then put in a date range that we require. So it may have been the 1st of the 1st, 2010, through to today's date, being say the 18th. We can do a farm area and my ID, and this will find everything for this price range between the sold dates once I select on Perform Find. And I've got 5 properties which have sold in that period. I can come in and select on Past Sales Report, and I can print yes to photo. And here's my full report here, which has been captured. I can hit continue and print, and remember records being browsed. Alternatively, on both of these functions here, we have got a new feature where we can select on Create Marketplace Report if we haven't got a group found set, and we can now find on that group found set using this functionality here. So we may say Marketplace yes, price range, we could put a price range if we required one. I don't require a price range. The farm area is going to be mine, and the ID is going to be mine, and I can hit continue. It says yes with the photos, and that will find on the details that I require also. So that's still available on current market report and also past market report. Now that we've updated these details, this vendor has moved on Tony, but I actually was working with the purchaser who now bought the property. So I'll put in the details in here. I will capture the new mandatory fields. And I would set these people on an anniversary trail. They will still be in my contacts database, but I have now updated the record also in my service area so that I know what property that they bought, and it may have been in my now active farm area. Click on the grey screen, and they're currently living at the property. This information has been updated, and now I've got clean data to continue forward with in the future of my system. These people may bring the property back to the market in 12 months' time, 18 months' time, whatever the case may be. I can update this detail. Alternatively, I could come back into service area. I could find on the property, and if this person hadn't sold the property and I'd built a relationship with them and decided I'd like to move them to contact, I can select this record here and move to contacts. It asks me here if I'd like to move the found set or the current record. I require the current record to be moved across, not the found set. So I'm going to select on current. So that has just moved over into the contacts database Rakila Hill and John Hill's information, their mobile details and their property address. Any notes that we've had or dealings that we've had with this client have been moved across as well. The last functionality that we're going to look at in the service area is we've completed every action that is needed to track the property, track the clients, and now we're going to look at a few basic finds so we can generate some charts. Now we had a look at a chart in service area, and now we've also got the contacts database. We can come into contacts, We can do a find on everyone who's tagged as buy yes and hit enter. I've got 21 buyers who are active in my database. I would like to chart on these buyers by selecting chart, and I'll come to lead source chart, and this tells me where all my 21 buyers and their lead source are coming from. So prospecting has been 3%, or 3 records for 14.3%. The newspaper has been 4, and so forth. So I now know where my lead source for all 21 buyers are coming, so I can actively track and market to these clients. Alternatively, I can come in and select on suburb. So this will tell me the suburbs where all of my buyers are coming from. So there is quite an range here, and the most popular suburb, which is quite close to the one that I'm working with, is Bedrock. So there's 3 clients that are in my system that come from the Bedrock suburb area here. So this is handy information, especially if you've got quite a big movement coming from, say, the North Shore through to the Central Coast. We could track the details there. So some great information to deal with our data. And that was just a little bit on charts. We're going to select on the CD icon now. Take us back to the main menu. And that completes service area training. If you just get this one area of complete data right, tracking properties that are currently on the market and applying street campaigns, this will change the dynamic of your business and prospecting effectively from a system with a purpose. I'm Carissa Cole, and thank you for attending the session.